Professor, Physician, Epidemiologist. I am Dr. Sri Banerjee. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. This video I'm actually making to try to better articulate chronic diseases, of course. That's my main goal, but more specifically, first of all, to start off by this statement that the NACDD denounces white supremacy as a public health threat. It's an interesting statement to read, so if you get a chance, read it. But if you're interested in researching about chronic diseases, this is a good one-stop shop for not only looking for advocacy, but membership opportunities of the National Association of Chronic Disease Directors, promoting health and preventing disease. So the purpose of course, this organization is to try to inform people about the chronic diseases that are out there, but also there's some interesting. This is interesting because it provides you with some recent publications surrounding chronic diseases that are really affecting people most recently, and kind of goes into some really important health equity issues, things like that. So they are actually a part of 100 plus CDC funded public health projects and have about $45 million in revenue. Seems like they've done some interesting work with lupus, so it's interesting to see always what are some of the important and nice work that everybody is involved in, but also kind of what it is that they're working on. And so they seem to have released some recommendations for screening of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, which is newer. Social connectedness is a public health priority, which is interesting. The uncomfortable truth, not sure what that is about. And then transforming narratives, designing inclusive communications. So I'm just giving you ideas about certain broad topics that you could be thinking about when you're looking at chronic diseases or thinking about chronic diseases, because it's not just the disease that you're thinking about, it's also other conditions that might be making the disease worse. And one such thing is the comorbid conditions. This is one that I've talked about elsewhere. But just looking at some of these chronic conditions on the right as well, really, even health equity makes chronic conditions and bearing chronic conditions a lot worse. So not only is it important to be practicing evidence-based medicine, but it's also important to be practicing evidence-based public health. And so we can, kind of link that and read more about that, but these are all related topics, and it's easy to get lost in a lot of these, but I think it would be worth your while to read some of these due to the fact that they're not structured in the form of a very detailed journal article. They're more kind of like a little bit of a brief sometimes. Now this one is a journal article. So this goes into the need for state-level variables used in regression modeling, and what types of state-level variables that you have at your disposal. So this is interesting. So if it's a health department size, that you can find out from your Association of State and Territory Health Officials. Funding per capita, where do you find that? Interesting stuff. what is also interesting is the percent indicating evidence-based practice, and how that varies depending on what type of area is being asked. So take a look at that on your own time a little bit. This is the characteristics of the logistic regression and evidence-based practice. And so it seems like, let's go back actually. Seems like just quickly looking at the logistic regression that in ages 50 to 59 there was the most difference among the highest and the lowest tertile in terms of evidence-based practice. Seemed like having a public health degree actually made slightly difference in, but not much, in evidence-based practice. And so evidence-based practice is something that is really needed to be inculcated in medical curricula, but of course in public health curricula as well, as we're trying to find common ground between the two disciplines. So recent research shows a number of actions from leaders in public health agencies that may increase the use of scientific information in decision making. These actions include direct supervisor expectations for evidence-based public health use and performance evaluation based partially on evidence-based public health principles. And so this has to be based in evidence. It's an opportunity for providing, assessing evidence-based training. This was kind of part of the key considerations for a 21st Century MPH program by ASPPH, where the inherently interdisciplinary and interprofessional MPH graduates must be prepared to function in increasingly interdisciplinary and interprofessional roles and settings. And so this evidence-based practice is really key to be thinking about. So that's about it. I'm not going to go more into this paper. This is pretty much the details of this paper. But there's other chronic disease papers that are out there, which I encourage you to take a look at, perhaps separately, which provides more information. Thank you for listening.